Right, so good day, guys. So, apart from the first lecture I uploaded, we're going to discuss a bit about the historiographic evolution of urban space. So, from our previous lessons, we've learned what defines an urban space, what are the seven types of planning, we defined urbanization, and we defined what is a good urban design. So, let's look about classical cities. So we're going to look into the question: did classical cities have the four bases of an urban space? Okay. So this is a diagram of the most noted normative eras of urban space planning. So let's look at the ancient. We start first from the Fertile Crescent, then the Indus Valley, which is the second. The third are the Egyptian kingdoms. Then at the point of transition, we have the Greek civilizations, the Roman civilizations, and the medieval period. So you could see the connection between the Romans and the Greek, the character of the Roman buildings. I think they've taken much of their the inspiration of their architecture from the Greek, while Europe has the architecture in Europe is vastly influenced by Roman architecture. After that, the medieval period, we're going to the modern, which is the industrialization era. Then the postmodern, which is the globalization and the age of technology. So these are the most normative eras of urban space planning. So note that we will tackle urban space as an amalgamation of economic, physical, social, and political spaces. Thus, not all records of the earliest civilizations will be thoroughly covered in this discussion. Mainly because we already have your history of architecture subjects also, which will take care of that. So just look at a quick recap of early civilizations at 5000 BC. You have the Fertile Crescent, which is Mesopotamia. Second are the Indus Valley civilizations, the Mohenjo-daro and the Harappa. And you have the Catalhuyuk, which is in the present-day Turkey, and then Banpo, which is in present-day China. So this is the Catalhuyuk. So here, you can look at this is the probable X, and this is the housing housing area. So the physical growth of the village was organic, unplanned, and largely influenced by defense strategies. So maybe this was a time wherein the people they formed together defensive communities. They formed communities and cities so that they could defend themselves. What I know about Catalhuyuk is that even the roofs are walkable. Okay, next we have the Harappa. So this period is characterized by the elaboration of ceramics, the beginning of copper metallurgy, stone-based making, and seal bone carving. So the beginning of writing is seen in the form of graffiti on pottery. So from 3500 BCE. So the most extant example of an urban space during the era of early civilizations. So that's the Harappa. Okay. It's the generally built up areas. So the urban spaces, Harappa are planned with purpose, motivated by economics and order. So if you look at the plan, you could see that this is regular shape, which means that The society or civilization that built this, they are motivated by order. Then we have the Mohenjo-daro. So although dated later than Harappa, the cities of Mohenjo-daro show extant consciousness in urban planning across all fabrics. Okay, so let us look into the physical, economic, political, and the social base. So here, Harappa in 3000 BC, which is located in present-day Pakistan. So if you look at, we're going to look at its physical base. It has regular street patterns that are paved. The dwellings were characterized by interior courts. Sanitization was of a high order. Dwelling units had drainage connected to the individual houses. Then, they have varied house designs. Then made use of masonry. For its economic base, we have copper, gold, tin, silver were brought from the Nilgiri region of South India, Kashmir, Afghanistan, and Persia. So silver and sapphire were imported from Persia and Afghanistan. There is also a brisk trade with Sumeria, which is proved by the discovery of numerous Indus seals in Sumeria. And it's also an agricultural or trade economy. For the political base, the theory was that the leaders were its priests. Then the social base, there's estimate around 35,000 residents. So some scholars believe that there was a prosperous and powerful ruling class in the Indo-cities who imposed their domination on the rest. All men of the cities in the nearby areas did not enjoy social and economic equality. Those who lived in the upper portion of the cities near the forts formed a ruling class. So I think this is typical in Indian or society that they are separated by social class, and it's also something that's also highly um, that's happening in the ancient world. So here, let's look at the Harappa. Look at the pictures. So looking north along the first street, the area to the left has been fully excavated, and the area to the right is unexcavated. So later street levels are seen in the background. Okay. Here to the left, here it has been fully excavated, and to the right it's not yet that excavated. So two structures with a hole and drain located are thought to have been toilets. So these are all the examples of an early civilization because they are already considering sanitation. Then looking south along Street 3, which runs parallel to the first street in HR area, agricultural fields and scrub jungle south of the site are visible in the distance. Then let's go to the fertile crescent. I heard this in your history of architecture a lot of several times already. That is bounded by the rivers Tigris and Euphrates. So in the 4000 BC, the Bronze Age is one of the most cited beginnings of meaningful urban spaces. So the Fertile Crescent or Mesopotamia, we have here Eridu and Uruk. So note that the priority of these civilizations are number one, defense, because maybe they are surrounded by enemies. Second, there's a power hierarchy. And third, it's a protection of resources. Because maybe in during those times, in ancient times, since you have a lot of enemies, they are after your resources, so you must protect your resources. And for Mesopotamia, in 3500 BCE, Mesopotamia comes from the Greek words Mesos and Potamus, meaning middle river, and refers to the fertile plain between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The Fertile Crescent is an agricultural region that runs along the foot of the Taurus and Zagros mountains in a broad arc from the eastern shores of the Mediterranean to present-day Iraq. So this is a map of Mesopotamia. So here this is Babylon. Here you have here Eridu and Uruk. So you can see that a lot of civilizations have sprouted here in this region. So a clear emergence of zoning between institutional and residential areas. So this is here the plan of Europe. So you have here the ziggurat, and you have here the palace, you have here the royal mausoleum, the temple. So I think in this point in time, they already tried to create zones already, different zoning areas. You have the late Babylonian quarter here. I have here a fortress also. Here you could see the portion of a residential quarter of Ur. This is the partial plan, a residential quarter of Ur. So the residences are already um, separated. So let's examine the urban areas between the Sumerian city kingdoms and Babylonia. For the physical base, so the city center for a Sumerian city is composed of ziggurats, palaces, public buildings, and marketplaces. For the economic base, it's the same also. You have the marketplaces, agricultural cities. And for the political base, we have the list of Sumerian kings. And of Babylon, you also have Nebuchadnezzar, 6th century BC. For the social base, the Sumerian city kingdoms with a population of 3 to 5,000, they're concerned with the defense of food. But in Babylonia, the agriculture paves way to massive settlements. So this is an example of a 1587 painting from an unknown Flemish painter depicting the Tower of Babel. So now today it is called Itimanki. It looks much like a ziggurat. It is near the Hanging Gardens in Babylon in Iran. So this here is a map of the ancient urban civilizations, which are in blue, and in red, the formation of notable civilizations but not complete urban fabrics. So let's just finish our lecture this week tackling about the Fertile Crescent and then the Babylonian and the what you call this Fertile Crescent civilizations or in Indus Valley civilizations. So next week we're going to look into the Egyptian kingdoms until we reach the globalization in the age of technology. Okay, so see you next week, guys.